Welcome. I'm Danielle Sally.
And I'm Eva Fusa.
And you're listening to Ghost Boss, stories about the freelance afterlife. All right. Hey, Eva.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good.
So this episode, this will be airing the Tuesday after we have our American Advertising
I'm still going to be tired.
But we'll have our American Advertising Awards in Columbia.
Yes.
So we thought since it's airing fresh off of that, we wanted to talk about celebrating wins and fails. And sometimes failures aren't really always failures.
Failure's a harsh word, but yeah.
Failure's a harsh word.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right?
We'll call it that.
That's what we're going to get into.
Yeah.
So, Eva, I wanted to open this with something that you say all the time.
All the time I say this.
And it's very relevant, especially to freelancers. But you always make the comment, good work is good work.
Yeah.
And do you want to elaborate on that just for in case anyone's just picking up on the podcast now?
Yeah. So I typically say that in regards to the American Advertising Awards. Yeah. But I also say it in regards to any awards.
Yes.
I say it in regards to, I said it in reference to the Super Bowl, about how we watched several of the commercials and some of them stood out and some of them didn't.
Right.
Good work is good work. Great work wins awards.
Yes.
Great work is maybe what you remember out of 80 Super Bowl commercials.
Right.
But good work is still good work. Good work still pays your bills.
Yeah.
Good work still achieves the goals.
Yep.
It meets your metrics. It gets X amount of people to the website. It gets engagement on social media. And I say that because as a former gifted student, maybe not former. If you put me in a fourth grade math class, I might still kill it. But I think that I got really oriented in going for the shinies and the awards.
Yes.
And then when I worked in healthcare for a long time, I never won an American Advertising Award. I never won an Addy.
Right.
But healthcare has its own awards. And one year I walked out looking like Beyonce. I had an armful of awards.
Good.
And as a freelancer, it's just different because, and at least for me, because I do so much B2B work.
Yes.
I have so much smaller budget. And I will forever say this. I know incredible work can be done on a budget.
Yes.
However, if you have a lot of money,
you can do a lot.
It's easier to elevate a concept.
For sure.
That's all I'm going to say. It's easy. Now, a mediocre concept can only be shined up so much.
Yes.
But a strong concept can only go so far without.
Right.
So I will die on this hill. It doesn't mean you can't win on a shoestring budget. I'm just
absolutely
saying,
not. I've seen people do it all the time.
I'm just saying it is unusual for a $500 project to win against a $500,000 project. Sure. But it can happen.
It can definitely happen. I've seen it happen constantly.
It can happen. I always feel like budgets are something that people just...
Yeah. And I hate when some people won't enter what they feel like great work.
Yeah.
Because
they didn't have a big budget.
To go against people with huge budgets.
Yeah.
That's not... If it's great work, let's find out.
I think you should always try.
Try.
It's something that I always point out because I don't think it helps anybody to pretend like the budget doesn't have anything to do with the outcome.
Comes in a factor.
Yeah. So anyway, good work. Good work is still good work. And I love to share this story. So last year we had judging here for AAF Midlands in person.
Yep.
And the judges all judged and I saw my work.
Yeah.
And they had it all laid out in this room. And as stuff was losing in the they would do it in rounds. And as the numbers were coming in, they would pull stuff. And so I was slowly watching my stuff get pulled, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago. I am a commercial artist.
Yeah,
I am not emotionally attached to anything. Some of that stuff, I didn't expect it to land anyways. I just submitted it to be a good sport and be part of the club and support the club. Some of it I did think
honestly,
this is
part
work.
of it too. I kind of want to this year I entered. I didn't have high expectations, but I still kind of wanted to see how's
it land? Yeah.
Where does it land on everything? And I honestly, and we'll get into that. I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah. So I think there's always good reasons to enter, even if you don't think necessarily I'm going to win. So anyways, at the end of the day, they submit all the finals.
Yes.
We took all the judges out to dinner and we sat down at the table and the judges were like, so how'd you do? And I was like, you absolutely hated my brochure. You scored it. It was the first thing that got pulled.
Oh man.
And they're like, oh my God, sorry. And I was like, no, but here's the thing. that was my highest paying single project all of last year.
Yeah.
And it took my son and I on vacation.
Yeah. So
we went to the beach.
So that's the thing.
So I didn't win an award, but I still won.
That's the thing, right? And so people kind of get into, I didn't win the award. It's a failure.
No, it's not.
No, it's absolutely not.
No, it's not.
Look what a win you got out of that piece.
The fact that you produced a piece, somebody presumably paid you for it. Either your employer paid you to do it in some capacity, or you got paid for it as a freelancer, or sometimes you just finished it.
Right.
You just finished like you still won.
Yes.
Like you have to realize that awards, in my mind, and don't get me wrong, I like them.
Oh, I need them.
I don't need them.
I need them.
I like them.
No, I might like. I need them. I'm just
okay. It's fine. I like them.
I'm trying to justify. And I'm like, I need them. No. I need them, girl.
I like them. For me, awards are sprinkles.
Yes.
On a cake.
Okay, fair.
I have the cake. The cake has frosting on it.
Yeah, that's the best part.
And it's like cookies and cream.
Yeah.
Or it's red velvet. Or it's carrot cake. Those are my 3 favorites. It's something that I already really enjoy.
Yeah.
The sprinkles are cool. The sprinkles look pretty.
Yeah.
The sprinkles do not change how the cake actually tastes or whether or not I actually like the cake.
See, I'm going to say the trophy is the cherry on top. And I do enjoy that cherry.
So here's the thing. I don't like cherries. So I'm going to pull it off and throw it away anyways.
I don't like the cherry anyway.
Yeah, I don't. So yeah. So good work is still good work.
Yeah.
Still, aim for the sky. What's the it's a real corny phrase, but it's true.
Shoot for the stars.
shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon.
And you'll still land amongst the stars.
Yeah, like that.
There is some truth to that.
It, for sure.
If you aim high, I aim to do award-winning work every single day.
Yeah. It's not like I'm no part of me is trying to do mediocre work.
No, but you do run into real constraints every single day. Like it's just got to get out the door.
Yes.
The budget's not there. The hours aren't there.
Yeah.
The scope doesn't make sense to blow this up like that.
I'm just going to say this. To me, the biggest hurdle in creating good work is not the budget. To me, the biggest hurdle is being told it just has to get out the door.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have something that's actually a huge budget.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, but we need it by Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. So timing plays into it too. I mentioned budget.
A bigger factor than what I'm getting paid to do it.
I just, I think all of that plays in like the scope. So going back to the original discussion, what contributes to truly award-winning work? Well, several things, right? Some of it is the raw creativity behind it.
Yeah.
Some of it's just the concept and who you got working on it. That's great. I would argue that's more than 50% of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, timelines.
Yes.
Budget.
Yep.
Scope. Client. I will never forget the day that I produced a piece. This was a very, very long time ago. It was like a passport to something.
Yeah.
And I got a real passport and I mocked it up. I did this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember turning it over. I was in-house at the time.
Sure.
And they were like, we can't use this because it looks too nice. And I was like,
I've read this before.
Yeah. I was like,
it looks too good.
It looks too good. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, it's under budget.
Yeah.
Barely, but it was under budget.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I did it. And they're like, yeah, but it looks too expensive.
Yeah.
It looks too good.
I have been told that before.
It conflicts with what we're trying. I don't remember what the specific problem was. So also sometimes, and maybe it was like, we can't put this out. And then I don't remember, let's say they were going to talk about budget cuts. I don't know. I cannot recall. This was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
The specifics, but there was something happening that they were like, we can't put out this thing that looks like it was really expensive to produce.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, by the way, we're on,
so frustrating.
Right. And so that is a very real thing.
But we're just two graphic designers and that has happened to both of us.
Right.
So it's happening all the time.
And at the time I was like, that is baffling. But now as somebody much further along in her career, I don't know that I've ever been at a company who's done this, but I've certainly seen it as an outsider.
Yeah.
Why would blah, blah, blah company do this big splash and then announce layoffs the next day?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How did you, I know those decisions are made separately, but you have to understand how outside and even within your own company, how those things link up. So maybe there was something like that going on. So sometimes good work, it has to be, or the difference between good and great work is that this is just not appropriate for how we have to distribute this right now. Right. So, all of that. It's all
of that. I also feel like both of us have judged the American advertising awards in different markets. Obviously, you can't judge your own market. But I feel like being a judge, I used to get a lot of insight by helping with our local club and actually seeing the judges scoring and getting to listen to their discussions at the end for how they get best of show. And I find all that fascinating. I definitely recommend people volunteering. I know most of it's virtual. You can still hop on the Zoom call and hear the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So definitely recommend, especially if you're a younger designer, figure out how to get a part
seasoned,
of that.
Man. I'm 40 and I'm still learning. I've found a lot of insight in listening to our judges discuss.
It. And it got to the point too, when I was at the agency, I would openly tell our creative director, like, I think this will do well. I think this is not going to do it. My own work. I would say, I'll be honest, I don't think this will be enough to win, but let's enter in and maybe a different competition. Yeah. But anyway, but the point that I was getting to is I feel like being a judge. It's helped a lot. One, I still get to be part of those conversations with other creatives and kind of hear their insight. Because sometimes they're because each market tries to get a very diverse group of judges with our backgrounds and the skill sets that we bring to the table. And so it's just nice. Like, people will pick up on things like I didn't even pick up on. Yeah. And vice versa. Like, as a female judge with a background in UX, I might be looking at things much differently than a male that's a photographer, right?
So I would argue your background in UX would make you and I look at things slightly differently.
Oh, completely.
Like in certain things. Maybe I think we would align a little bit more maybe than you versus this.
With like aesthetics and things like that. But I definitely think I gravitate more towards the digital work and I critique more on digital work.
See, I critique more on I can't go into a lot of detail because they haven't had their show yet. But there was something I spoke a lot on because it was digital, but it had elements of print in it. And I went on and on and on this judging call about it. I love it.
But it definitely, I think it helps me continuously grow. Like, I believe we're always students, right? And
for sure.
Judging is a great way, not just to get out there and judge other people's work, but kind of be inspired all over again. Yeah. I think, the whole point of this conversation kind of started with the fact that we both entered the American Advertising Awards. Yeah. Mind you, we're judging in other markets. So we at least have the experience. But we both entered in our local market. Yeah. We both came out with 0 wins.
Nobody won. I mean, people won. It just wasn't us.
Other people won. It's fine.
It's fun.
But I feel like for me personally, because I've judged before, I don't take it. When I'm in my younger years, my less experienced years, I would have taken it a little more personally. Yeah. But now, being a judge, understanding the process, and sometimes it's only a couple points that keeps you away from a silver.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a tough road, but that's just the reality of it because it is a tough competition to win. But let me tell you what, am I going to keep entering? Oh yeah. And keep trying to win so that I can get in that top 20% of the market? Yes, of course I am. Yes. Because I want to someday be able to say Danielle Sally Creative has an Addy. Yeah. I'm still going to keep shooting for it. Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon. You'll land amongst the stars. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's, I don't expect to win is how I manage my expectations around it. I will say getting involved with the board because for a while, being outside of the process, it did very much feel like something that's been said to me many times by people outside the process. I know what you're going to
say because I hear it in every market.
The same people always win. Why would I bother?
And part of that too, I mean, people will get into the budget discussion, but part of the budget discussion is those large agencies can afford to enter more. Yeah. So there's more opportunity to win if they have more entries.
Yeah. And they also do a wider range of work than maybe in-house, or it depends on what your in-house is, right? Yeah. Like I would say in-house in a tourism environment probably yields a lot of very interesting work that would likely score well. Yes. But working in-house, like I came out of healthcare. I think banking would probably be similar. It doesn't mean it can't win. I've seen banking and healthcare win many times, but it's just the nature of the work is just a little bit different.
Right. Because sometimes, especially those two industries, there aren't real big risk that are willing to be taken. You got to play the safe route more and more often. And so sometimes the safe route just isn't what's going to win the award.
Well, and sometimes it's just a matter of the work that you're doing, right? Like people, like I worked, like somewhere I worked, like we just didn't do a whole lot of consumer facing stuff. So I'm submitting things like annual reports, right? And logos, which are hard categories.
Logo, I feel like, especially being a judge, I feel like logo is the hardest category to
and
win.
It's the one I submit the most in because it's the most that I do.
And that said, if you can win in logo, I'd be bragging about that forever.
But then also, like, to your point, like in healthcare, for instance, you're communicating to people about their lives. They don't necessarily want to see something real spicy. When you're talking about surgery. Now, I know. Now I've seen some really cool campaigns, both locally and nationally. That can take like urgent cares and stuff like that. Kind of interesting
care stuff. I feel like there's opportunity.
Do some fun stuff there. But a whole lot of the just really compassionate, like cancer care stuff. It's just hard to like do that in a way that comes to that high of a level. Right. It's still incredibly well done. So it's just a lot of factors are in it. So if you don't win an award, you're still doing great.
Still doing great. So we're coming to you all as losers on paper, but really winners.
I'm not taking that title, Danielle. You can take that title.
I need trophies. I'm okay with it.
I'm fine. I know how much an Addy costs. I know it's not official if I buy my own, but I won't put it on my resume, okay?
Like, just buy an extra.
I'll just put fake Addy on it. Eva was sad and bought herself a thing. I don't care.
I love it. Also, I want to talk about this. Because to me, it just feels like a big boss move.
Whoa. A big ghost boss move?
A big ghost boss move. Something you and I decided to do.
We did.
This year was actually be a sponsor.
A paid sponsor.
A paid cash sponsor.
I mean, you did you did not, I shouldn't just say some in kind. You did
a lot of in kind.
You did a lot of in kind. I've done a lot of in kind in the past, but
we both have done this before. We know it's worth it for the exposure.
Yes, right? But Ghost Boss is an official sponsor of the American Advertising Awards.
Yeah, you're in Columbia. Midlands. So, but I just felt like such a cool move because part of it is, we're being successful enough that we can afford to be sponsors. It's also just a smart thing for us to sponsor. That's like that whole room. That's our target audience. Right? So it's just a smart thing to sponsor, but like, it just feels good.
It does
to be able to, and not only that, we actively talked about, do our individual company sponsor or whatnot. And we collectively decided, let's make Ghost Boss sponsor. And it feels pretty cool. Something that you and I decided jointly to create.
Correct.
And just launched it in November. And we're already being bosses and helping sponsor the award. So it just was such a good feeling, and we didn't have to, but we both want to fully support our local AAF club, and that feels good.
Yeah. It also felt good. I mean, to be transparent, I drafted a lot of those sponsorship levels. We try to make it pretty wide so people can get in at whatever makes sense for them. And so you and I splitting it amongst our businesses allowed both of us access to a level that we may have not been able to do independently. But it also because when I talked to you about the price point, you didn't have I also feel good that as a club and I don't want to make it sound like I made these levels all by myself. I mean,
I made them up so I can sponsor.
It was a collective decision, but it feels good from a club management perspective to create sponsorship levels that are approachable, that small businesses and new businesses can contribute to.
Yeah,
so it feels good. Yeah.
So
we're excited.
Yeah, I am excited. So we might not be coming home with our Addy. But
I'm going to buy us one.
We're going to buy one. It's going to say fake Addy.
It's fake Addy. No trademark.
Don't tell AF.
We will not tag them.
But I still think we're going to come out of that feeling good. Plus, Eva's president of the club this year. She feels very proud for the event itself. I've gotten to work on all the creative. It's just been fun. So everyone's going to see they might not see my work that I submitted for the awards, but you're going to see your work. They're going to see your work.
So that makes me think of something else that I would consider a win.
Yes.
That you and I have a joint one coming up.
Yes.
And then separate ones coming up.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So yes, I consider a win.
Yeah.
People asking me to speak.
Yes.
And
you listed, didn't you, when we did our goals for the year, you actually said one of your goals is to have more speaking engagement.
Yes. So I did one last week for a middle school career day.
Yes.
So that's great. I mean, that's really important and significant. I had an incredible time. It was very fulfilling. I really think I inspired. It's in the room.
I love it.
It was great. But yes, I'm speaking on the Design Her panel.
Yeah, that one's coming up, right?
For the Design League on March 12th.
Right.
And then you and I have plans to speak at the D3 conference.
It is kind of funny. When I was coming up with my keeping sane topic, a club, I believe it was AF Montgomery in Alabama, asked me to speak. And I was like, well, I actually have an idea for a topic. You sign me up. And I'll make sure it's
now I have a deadline.
Now I have a deadline. I have to have a deadline.
Yeah.
Now I have a deadline I have to make. And it ended up, it was really fulfilling for me. And I enjoyed it so much. And I started booking more. I even spoke at AAF National that year at their Admerica conference. And so this year kind of did the same thing. I text Eva and I was like, hey, what if we turn Ghost Bus into a speaking topic?
Yeah.
We'll make your goals happen. I'll get back on the speaking circuit. It'll be great for both of us. And we just share our freelancing afterlife stories on the road. So we say that at AAF District 3, we'll be having a conference in Richmond, Virginia in April 11th through 13th, I believe.
I think it's the 12th and the 13th and maybe the reception. So somewhere around that time. Yep.
So, and we'll be speaking there with that. But then I guess the universe just did its thing because then AF Baton Rouge reached out to me about speaking for them. And I also sold them on it. So I pretty much have to finish this conversation.
That's good. You test run it March 8th.
Test run it March 8th.
And then you let me know what I need to do on April 12th.
Yes. And then we'll be good to go. I am really excited about it. So if anyone from Baton Rouge is listening, you're in for a treat. Yeah. I think it'll be a good one. I love it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even tell you, I'm also going to do it at Amarillo, Texas. I think I told you I was speaking there in April at their Ad Savvy conference. That's also beginning of April. And I talked to them. I told them hey, I'm coming up with a new topic. It's Ghost Boss. And it's not a huge freelancing crowd, but there's still going to be relevant tips in there. We talk about time management. We talk about planning our workday. So it's still relevant to creatives, even if they aren't freelance. So I'm going to do a version of it at Ad Savvy in Amarillo, Texas. Yeah. So look at us. I definitely think all that's wins.
Oh, yeah. And thinking about, we both participate at the Chairrooms conference in the fall. They have a creative track. Maybe we could tweak it a little bit and it'd be relevant to the creative track, right? I think it's interesting because as somebody who puts on a lot of events and I'm booking speakers, I'll be like, okay, so I've seen you do this topic. And you should come to this event. The audience is a little bit different. How can you adjust? Right. And so I'm not obligating anybody on the Chairrooms board who's listening to book us, but we'll both be there.
Yep. Yeah. Cause I'm still on the board and I will definitely
maybe we could host the networking, kick off the networking thing for a little
hey, minutes. I'm on the sponsorship committee. What?
Just saying.
Just saying. But that's actually what happened with Amarillo because I was already scheduled to speak. And I pitched this topic to them and they said well, sounds awesome. Yeah. We just don't have that many freelancers that are going to be at this conference. Yeah. So I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. Yeah. To make sure it's fully relevant for the audience that's going to be there.
Yeah. And that's part of the flexibility of what we do. Right.
So we pivot. We need to pivot.
We pivot. So I moderated that Creative and Hustle panel.
Yes.
And then some of that stuff that I talked about, I think is going to be relevant to the Design Her panel that I'm going to be on. Although I won't be moderating, I'll be a panelist. And it's interesting because we're all women, but we're women in very different,
oh, that's cool.
We're all female entrepreneurs, but in different ways.
I love that.
So it should be cool. I'm excited. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So wins come from things other than shinies.
Yes.
And so also if you're not
shinies are the sprinkles.
Shinies are the sprinkles. And also I do have a very firm rule.
What's your rule?
If I submitted an award and I don't win and I'm going to the gala, if I can't take home a trophy, I have to look like a trophy. Oh, that's why I have so many sequin dresses. And then if I do win a trophy, I have to match the trophy. Oh, so I'm wearing sparkles one way or another.
You better believe I'm going to show up looking fabulous.
I've already texted Danielle my picture, my test run outfit. Yes. I'm a lot of look.
I'll hopefully have some pictures posted by the time this airs so we can show you that we at least went there looking like trophies.
So all of that to say,
yes,
you can have many wins. I know we didn't really get into like fails, but that's because there is no failure.
That's right.
It's just a learning moment.
That's right.
And maybe we do a whole episode about like things that we have done that, mistakes we've learned from.
Mistakes are still just learning opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I sound like a self-help coach, but
we might be for some people.
Maybe. But that, I think that mindset of like, even if you don't win, not even just an award, but like if today wasn't a win, if that client pitch wasn't a win, if that award wasn't a win, all right, so what are we going to learn from it?
That's right.
What are we going to learn?
I love it.
Yeah. So thanks for coming along with us.
Yes.
If you have any ways that you measure your success other than awards, speaking engagements, paying your bills.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear. What do you consider your wins?
Absolutely.
That aren't one of those categories.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Remember to follow us on Instagram at Ghost Boss Podcast. And also please like and review us on your favorite podcast app.